Eagle's Eye, long-time Richmond ministry that supports business people and businesses who want to walk out their faith in business every day. So Needle's Eye has had a huge impact on me, my business, my life, and ability to do that on a daily basis. So it is absolutely my pleasure to introduce Jordan Maroon. Jordan, how you doing, man?
Jordan, welcome to the program, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for having me, Jerry. Thank you for having me, Mike. It's a pleasure.
Alrighty, so I always say the program is how business can help society be better. So it seems like we just teed it up for you. There you go.
All right, so adults with full-time careers spend 60+% of their waking hours at work. So if God doesn't care about that 60% of your life, then God doesn't care about you.
That's a big chunk.
But God cares. God cares about you, and so God cares about your work, and God cares about all the people that you interact with, your clients, your customers, your shareholders, your employers, your employees. They matter to God, you matter to God, and your work matters to God. Some of us are in careers that receive a lot of accolades. Maybe we get paid well, maybe we get a lot of respect. Some people don't have that privilege. And yet all of those careers are important to the God who created us and the God who has invited us into partnership with him in bringing his kingdom and his values onto the earth as it is in heaven.
Mike King, Jerry is here. Jordan is with us as well. So Jordan, we just want to have Minister Tigerfoot jump on, give us an update what's happening here at The Choice. Hey, if you'd like to give us a call, give us a shout, 804-638-3419. This is the Mike King Biz Radio Network. This is my home 7 days a week. But you only hear me on Fridays from 2 to 2:30. The other time we got great partners. But Minister Tiger, what's happening here?
Well, welcome back, everybody. I wish I had Jerry's voice too. Now.
I know.
Jerry, you just want to talk with me? I'll just smile.
I love talking with you,
back
Tiger.
again, guys. God bless. Welcome, Jordan, and sister back there. God bless you, Mike King. Welcome back.
Hey.
We're celebrating all kind of birthdays here at the Faith and Love Fellowship Church on the campus. My mother just had her birthday on the 15th. My dad, Pastor founder Tony for Senior, his birthday is on the 26th. So we're right in the middle of birthday celebrations, and we're just happy about it. And also be on the lookout. There's a Father's Day Saturday event coming up on June 18th at 1:05 p.m. Details are coming your way. Keep it locked here, y'all. Choice.
There you go.
I'll throw another birthday in there. Dakota Cheyenne Howard is my third child, my youngest daughter. She's going to be turning 10 on the 27th.
Hey,
there you go.
So we got another one in the house there, and I may have the voice, but you got the wisdom.
Hey, there we go.
Love talking to you, Tiger. Thank
Same
you.
here, brother.
All righty, so Jordan, let's talk about Needle Eye Ministries. Where did it come from?
Yeah, it actually started here in Richmond. So our founder was a sales guy here in town, didn't know the Lord, hard charging, very successful, but had some brokenness in his life, came to faith, went to seminary, thought he was going to be a pastor, and God said, I want you to go back to Richmond. I want you to minister to the very type of person that you used to be. Hard charging businessman whose personal life wasn't where it needed to be and whose faith was non-existent at the time. So he came back here 45 years ago, has been pouring into business men and women all over the market, all over Richmond ever since.
And what's your journey to Needle Eye?
Yeah, so I grew up in Midlothian and jumped into, I thought I was going into public policy. God called me to campus ministry, did that for 10 years. Then wanted to get back to Richmond. So I came back, started working for Needle's Eye about 6 years ago. And I love the mission. I worked with college kids who thought they were a big deal, but they were nothing. I mean, they were great, right? But when you're in college, what have you done?
That's true.
But now I work with all these great folks who have accomplished a lot and yet are so humble and yet want to serve others and don't make a big deal out of themselves. And I really respect that and honor them and think that speaks to the likeness of Christ that is being formed in them.
That's good.
On the mic with Mike Jordan is here, Needle Eye Ministries. You got my man Jerry Howard in the back. He is chiming in from time to time. So when you talk to business leaders, a lot of times, do they know what they're missing, or do they just think that they're missing something?
That is a great question. I think it depends upon where they are in life and in their career. I think when you're a wild success, you might think you're fine, but typically it's in those quiet moments when you have to stop and reflect on your life, or when you run up against a huge obstacle or tragedy, that's when you stop and go, man, what am I doing here? What is this all about? What am I building my life on? And I think God in his mercy gives us those opportunities, either opportunities to struggle and to suffer, or opportunities just to stop and take a moment to consider. So one of the things that I think helps people is when they have an example of others who are in similar types of careers, who are doing it a different way, who are embodying their faith in a way that is profound, with integrity, with kindness, but also with excellence in business. And I think that's really meaningful for people.
All righty, Jordan, let's hear with this. How does a person engage with Needline? Like, what's the process like? What do people do?
Yeah, that's great. So what we try to do is get people into small communities where they can really get known by each other and then help each other through the Bible, grow in their careers, entry level to CEO, wherever you are. So Jerry, for example, is in a group of business owners that I know has been impactful to him. Jerry, you want to mention that real quick?
Absolutely, I'd love to. And I'll tell you what the Needle's Eye Ministry means to me is I've got a group of business owners who are going through the same challenges that I go through as a business owner, as a leader in business, as someone who has family, who has, we oversee a profit and loss statement. That's a kind of the easiest way to say it. So we have to make these decisions that affect people's lives. And being a faith-driven entrepreneur, I want to make sure that I'm doing that in a godly way. And so that was my allure to Needle's Eye Ministry, was looking for a way to make sure I was making those good godly decisions at work for my team, my employees, my family, my business. But along the way, I've developed some really critical friendships and relationships. And I love to call my group the ministers, because we get together, we talk about the word, we talk about business. And I know that when I walk out of that room, that I'm going to have guidance that's both godly and ethical, business centered, but that I can make solid strategic decisions on. And that's really the value. And whether you're entry level in business or whether you are a business owner, those groups exist for you. And I'm very excited about the impact that Needle's Eye has made on me and my businesses, especially through the challenges. Let me tell you what.
All righty, so Jordan, how can people find Needline out there once again?
Yeah, so we have events that are kind of all call networking events, like that we call spiritual shots after work, with some food, some drinks, relaxed atmosphere, chance to hear from some speakers. That's a great entry point. We have video testimonies we do, podcasts we do, but then we have small groups for people all over the market. We definitely do a lot for entrepreneurs and business owners, but also electricians and graphic designers and bankers and attorneys. So people can come to an event and plug in, or they can just shoot us a note on needleseye.org and we'll get them plugged into a group of like-minded folks. We'll get them in a workshop, into a cohort, into a small group, and help them grow.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jordan. He's on WQCN at Choice 105.3. We are here at 804-638-3419 if you'd like to give us a call. So, Jordan, I would guess that you hear testimonials like Jerry on a regular basis.
I do, yes, sir.
Do you see when the light comes on in people? Like when all of a sudden they came and all of a sudden you see that they get it?
Yes. So the biggest light that I see come on for people is something that gets called the sacred secular divide, which is the idea that some jobs are more important to God than others. Being a pastor, being a missionary, God cares about that. Me being a banker making money, I mean, that's not as important to God. And when they see that actually from scripture, that all work is important to God,
Amen.
that is a total light bulb moment. And especially when they start to say, okay, so how can my decision-making change because I'm a Christian? How do I bring my new identity as a follower of Jesus into the workplace? And how do I leverage my influence and resources on behalf of others in the way that God would want me to? And when that happens, it makes a huge difference.
Minister Todd, you want to jump in there and give us a little bit of insight about what faith and love? How do you guys incorporate some of that here? Because I know that you guys do.
Well, amen. It's a big thing for us to give God time to work with us as saints. A lot of people do come into ministry thinking that it's microwave, that, as soon as you come to the Lord, you're going to get everything your way, and that it's almost magically delicious. And that's not how God works.
That's right.
God is stirring something on the inside of you to bring something on the outside of you. Just like this radio station. It took 7 years to even have the fruition of the thought to get it up and running. So it takes time. When God sows a seed, he's going to water it the whole time, but you got to allow yourself to cultivate and then become not just favor with God, but favor with man.
Yeah.
And that's where the business side come from. When you get favor with man, you start seeing seeing God relinquish the profit and not just being a profiteer, but the profit of being what God has called you to do. So any business can be used by God, but we got to be in a mindset that God wants us to be in, so we can be a positive influence once we get in business. So many people, they get in business, they lose it, or they either become negative. But when you have what we call the shots,
Spiritual
shots, man.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm waiting to attend one myself right now, because I want to see how I can take my business to the next level. But when you get a spiritual shot in your business, man, it sounds like it's a vaccine to make your business go a little bit further.
That's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Minister Tiger Foot. So that's what you get here with us right here. This Uplifting Radio. On the mic with Mike, here with Jordan. Jerry is with us. Jordan, one last time, how can people find you?
Yeah, needleseye.org is the easiest way to find us.
So you're gonna come back and visit with us over on ESPN. There's really, you know, folks over there need to get some of this as well. So between Jerry and myself, we're gonna have you on talking about what you do. I'd like to thank you for coming on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On the Mic with Mike coming to you from WQC, and thanks now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike on WQC and the Choice 105.3. This is my home. This is the place for gospel music and uplifting information right here. So you've heard the program. We'd like to thank Jordan, Needle Eye Ministries for coming on. It's all partnered in the Mike King Radio Network. And what that means, we talk to people who believe business can help society be better. And we're on the Choice every day from 2 to 3, me and my partners. Right now we've had a friend of the program. You know, people show up in our world, and if you don't think social media works, it does work. So I got with me a acclaimed author, public speaker, all-around cool person, and an introvert as well. So Jacqueline Charles is here. Welcome to the program, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
All righty. So now, as I always say, let's get the elevator pitch, and then we're going to get into the good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Jacqueline Chalice, the Excitable Introvert, and I work with introverted women of color to get seen, heard, and respected by embracing their awesome.
And I always start people, let's start off with the credentials. Like you said, people paid for them. You know, you're an author. You've been in the speaking game for a while or so.
Yes, for a very long time,
How long?
30 plus years.
Okay. And how old were you when you first started with public speaking?
With public speaking, single digits. I started a lot earlier than most people.
Most people, yes. Okay. So what exactly is the excitable introvert?
Well, that is a moniker that I gave myself and I used to describe myself because although I'm an introvert, anyone who knows me knows how excited I am, how enthusiastic I am. And for some reason, people think introverts are not joyous. They don't smile. And so I always claim that for myself. It's only been more recently that I began to use that as really a branding technique so that people understand the work that I do and can understand that I'm not an anomaly. There are thousands of introverts who are excitable, who are joyous, and are introverted simultaneously.
That is true. And that's me.
Yes.
So it really makes it easier when you fall into or find something that works for you. That it's easier that you can turn, I'm not going to say turn the switch on, but it's sort of like that. But when it's over to recharge the battery, as you would say, that's the difference between an introvert and an extrovert.
Right. Introversion and extroversion is simply a descriptor of how someone processes stimulation. So you can have extroverts who are antisocial. Lizzo is an extrovert who's antisocial. You can have extroverts who are shy. You can have introverts who have no problem with interacting with people. They just choose not to because of the energy that it takes. So we introverts, we notice everything. It's hard to get things past us. We might not speak on it, but we notice it all. And so we need that time away in order to process our world. And once we contribute, it's worth hearing, it's worth experiencing.
So you are an acclaimed author of a number of books. How many books?
25, 26.
25, 26.
She's
What was-
losing count.
I'm losing count.
Exactly.
My very first book was published when I was 11. So when I lose count, it's because I started early.
That's awesome.
That is true. So what was the first book that you wrote?
The very first book that I published was while I was 11. I was in a young writers group. My parents recognized this enthusiasm I had for writing. That was my aspiration in kindergarten, to be a New York Times bestselling author. And so in order to support that, they found a young writers guild. And the outcome of that was for us to publish this anthology. It was myself and about a handful or so more young adults. We had a business tour, we had a book tour and book signing, and we got to do all of these things early. And that opened up opportunities that later began to feed all this other great stuff that I now do in adulthood. So small thing for parents, nurture your kids' passions, and you never know what they'll be in adulthood.
So you are on a book tour now.
Yes.
Is that a book? Is what you're, it doesn't seem like a book tour. It seems like a life tour.
It's A life tour, I think, is a better way to phrase it. My husband and my son and I, we are on our latest iteration of our cross-country trip. We're New York based. We're in Richmond, of course, now. We'll be going all the way out to Wyoming before we start heading back. We'll hit 7, 8 states on our next 2.5 months that will be on the road. We are travelers. We love it. It's been one of the blessings of the pandemic, being able to have us all online. So we can go anywhere and do these things.
And so we've talked about it, opening the world to your son, showing him other places that people read about in books. And also, we also talked about the gift of what this is, because it's not normal.
No, this is not the average experience. It's great to have the resources and the possibility and really the privilege to travel around this country and to go to other countries. One of the highlights for me was, as a child, I always wanted to travel the world, and going to Australia was on my bucket list. I got to be paid to go to Australia, bring my husband, bring my son. We got to go to the Taj Mahal. I got to do that by leaning into my introversion and stepping into that vision that God gave me of who I was. So doing all of this, it's beautiful when all of this comes together. It's breathtaking, and I do not lose sight of the fact of the magnitude of joy and privilege that I have. So I need to be a good steward.
You are a good steward, and I learned something. So I asked you a question, and this is sort of my go-to question. You know, I get one good question, and I ask a person, how do you make dreams come true? And what did you tell me?
I told you that dreams are something that can go away. A vision is what you need. A vision will stick with you. It will activate you. A dream will inspire you, but how many dreams do you have you did nothing about? But if you had a vision for something, you're willing to put in the work toward it. You're willing to go through whatever it takes to get to it, however long it takes. And for me, my life started with that vision. Like, I knew I was going to be on stages speaking in front of thousands of people. I knew I would be a best-selling author. I knew I would be traveling the world. I know how I'm going to do it. Nobody travels in my family. How am I going to do that? Like,
You just knew it.
I knew it. Like, I know the sky exists. Like, there's grass. Like, it's just, okay, well, if this is true, then what do I need to do to be that person? Well, I guess I need to be on stages. I guess I need to let people see my writing. I guess I need to say yes to these things I would normally say no to.
So when you started saying yes to those things, what was the first big moment that all of a sudden you realized, wow, this thing is kind of big?
That was like the pivotal moment. I was recruited to go to a different high school. I was recruited by this one lady, this little Southern white belle, who would see me at every debate competition and would harass me to come to her school because she saw that I could do great.
And what school was that?
This was Adamson. This was in Dallas, Texas. That's my hometown. And I believed her enough to say, okay, let's see. Let me see if I can convince my parents to sign the paperwork. That was my first big decision, to latch onto her faith in me. I knew no one. There was nothing there to bring me except for this idea that this woman who saw me like maybe once or twice a month had this much faith in what she saw as potential. So when I had that opportunity and I went to the school, it was a blank slate. That's when I decided, what if I was just this person? Like, if I have this complete blank check to do whatever. Okay, what if I'm supposed to be in front of stages, I'm going to do things. Let me audition to be the lead for the school play. I've never been in a school play. I'm an introvert. I want to be in the back. I'm not doing. I said yes. I didn't get the lead, but I was one of the main characters that was there. That opened up the door for me to do other auditions, for me to do speaking competitions. Like, part of my college was paid through speaking competitions. Had I not accepted her invitation and latched onto her faith and what she saw in me, I would have even said yes to that.
Yeah, I want to echo something you said earlier too, because you said you lean into that. You had that vision and you lean into it, and I think that was the fearlessness that you decided to have. You made an active decision to start a process of living out that vision when the opportunity presented to you. So you took a fearless approach towards that, regardless of what you introverted, extroverted. You saw that vision and then pushed into it, like you said earlier. That's great.
And the name of your program is, Jerry?
Oh, Intrepid Impact
And see,
Leadership.
that's why he was, that's
ESPN Richmond Radio,
and that was
106.1,
Intrepid
6:30
Impact.
Monday morning.
Okay, so Jacqueline, let's talk about the program that you have for women. let's
Yes.
dive into that and explain that to our listeners.
Yes, when Jordan was speaking, I was trying not to like make so much noise in the back, like shouting and cheering, because one of the events that I host every year is a virtual summit called Mistress of Her Divinity. And I started this because I didn't see a space where the intersection of womanhood, of race and cultural identity, and using your work as an expression of your faith came together. I didn't see it. I couldn't find it. I found lots of spaces where we were told to take one of those things out of the equation. But how can you? I'm a Black woman who's Christian. How do I take out one of those? All of those are me. And so I started this event back in 2019. I had women from 5 different countries who came to not only listen in, I had speakers from around the world. This was done clearly on faith. It's like, okay, well, this needs to happen. Okay, God, who's going to do it? And it was crickets. Like, oh, you're looking at me, God? You do this? I think you got the wrong number. But about 8 weeks from the idea being in my mind, it was live. And I had one of the speakers, one of the things on her bucket list was to be an international speaker. She wanted to speak on stages. She got to be in front of people in India, in Nigeria, in Canada, in Mexico, in the UK. Like, she got to be on this global stage unawares. I made this woman's dream come true because I leaned into, I'm an introvert, but I know that there are certain things I'm meant to do.
That is true. On the mic with Mike here. Minister Tiger, really quickly. I know we're short of time because up next is Steph B with the Hustler Side. Talk about the idea when you thought about putting a radio station in the church.
Well, it's a blessing that came across to me when I was actually working for another radio station. But I noticed some of the smoke and mirrors and some of the limitations of musical artists in our area being able to get to radio, but ministries being able to get to radio. And I wanted something really, and even in our own experience with recording things, I wanted something to be user friendly, something that there was no gatekeepers. When people came in, they felt like they were at home too. And that was the seed that was sowed back in 2010. It wasn't until 2013 that I had the opportunity to actually put all the paperwork together to get the FCC to take a look at our board of directors and everything and go through the approval process. Still took another 4 years for us to get the license to build this thing within 60 days. So we went through a 7-year process and had 8 weeks to go from getting a yes to having it up and running.
Gotcha.
But it was a blessing. And I do want to say something you said, Sister Jacqueline, about saying yes to things. I'm actually going through a process at the beginning of the year, and I preached about this. This is going to be my year of yes. That no matter what God asks of me, I'm going to say yes and see how the doors unfold. So even at 50 plus years on this planet, there's a lot of things that I said no to. And it was funny because Jerry mentioned something about your father going through things, maybe not taking part of certain businesses,
Right.
and how he explained that to you. But I'm going through a process where I want to do what God asked of me while I have time to do it. I don't want to get to the point where I should have, would have, could have my way out of this world. I'm going through a year of yes. So when you said yes to that Southern Belle, look how that changed your life. So don't do it.
And you saying yes to this created the space for me to be on the radio
right.
now
Mhm.
and get bragging rights with my kids.
There we go.
He said, Mom, Mom been on radio. All right, so we got to go. This is all nice. It's all fun and games. My time is up. So this is my King Biz Radio.
God's word, yes,
Exactly.
amen.
Because up next is Steph B, the Brooklyn Betty with the business breakdown. She has 16 bars of business. She gives it to you like no one else does it, where business and culture collide. Jacqueline, very quickly, how can people find you?
Go to IEmbraceAwesome.com, IEmbraceAwesome.com, IEmbraceAwesome.com.
I want to be like her. It's just like, I am an excitable introvert. I am. This is kind of taking off and taking on some things. I got to run because I don't want to be in trouble. Mike King, we got to run. Give the choice, WQCN 105.3. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. This is the best. We always have a blast here. Thank you for the Foot family for opening the keys to the kingdom. It's always great when I come in. We got to run. Jerry, Jordan, we'd like to thank them for coming in. Steph B is up next. Take care.